All right, so we're going to hop into Chapter 13, Writer's Block of J.A. White's Nightbooks. Here we go. Alex and Yasmin went back to the library and closed the door behind them. I have so much to tell you, Alex said. In his eagerness to finally share everything, Alex inadvertently abandoned all his storytelling skills. He hopped from topic to topic, sometimes in mid-sentence, and often lost his train of thought. Fortunately, Yasmin asked good questions, forcing him to backtrack when necessary. In the end, she managed to learn everything there was to know about Unicorn Girl, the forest that Alex had glimpsed through the bedroom door, and his sudden shortage of stories. Gradually, the resigned look in Yasmin's eyes was replaced by a glimmer of hope. You really think we can get out of here? She asked. Yes. What's the plan? The children smiled at one another. We need to search the rest of these books, Alex said. Unicorn Girl might have written out her escape plan. If it worked for her, maybe it will work for us. And if she didn't write it down, then maybe she said something else that can help us, Alex said. You never know. The more we learn about Natasha, the better. Yasmin tilted her head upwards in order to take in the thousands of books that still needed to be searched. You can't do this on your own. Show me where you left off and I'll start looking. Don't you have nursery stuff to do? Alex asked. It'll be okay, Yasmin said. I'll just get up earlier tomorrow and take care of my chores first. Right now, finding how this girl got out of here is the second most important thing we've got to do. What's the first most? Yasmin gave him a playful shove towards the desk. You have to write, she said. This whole plan falls apart if Natasha decides to make a porcelain Alex out of you. For the rest of the day, he sat in the desk and tried to think of a good idea. Nothing came. Alex knew from experience that forcing an idea to the surface seldom worked. It only scared them away, like screaming at a flock of birds while expecting one to land on your finger. You had to let them come at their own pace. This was all well and good when you were writing stories in your bedroom at night, stories that no one would ever read, but not when your life depended on it. His frustration grew. Pencil points snapped. Pages were torn. When Alex's sighs of dismay grew impossible to ignore, Yasmin dropped the stack of books she was searching and stood over him, arms akimbo. Okay, she said, what's the issue? I have complete and total writer's block, Alex said, plunking his head on the desk. In fact, I think it's fair to say I'm never going to write another sentence again for the rest of my life. Don't be so dramatic, Yasmin said. You're probably just thinking too hard. You remember any of the stories from the notebooks that got torn up? Some of them, he said. But it doesn't matter. I can't write them all over again. Why not? Because I wrote them already, Alex said. If I do it again, they won't be the same. Maybe they'll be better. You don't understand, Alex said, turning his head away. Just forget it. Yasmin kicked his foot. You don't have time to be grumpy, she said. Who cares if they are the same or not? They're just stories. They're not just stories, Alex exclaimed. Some of my favorites were in those Nightbooks. Like there was this one I was really proud of about this girl who moves into a new house, and there's this tree in her backyard that promises her it will grant her a wish if she hangs up something she truly loves in its branches. At first the girl is thrilled because she's getting these awesome wishes these awesome wishes in exchange for little stuff, like necklaces and toys. Only the tree keeps wanting more valuable things, until finally it asks her for her baby brother. And the girl knows it's wrong, but she's sort of changed with getting all her wishes granted, so she goes to the crib one night and... I'm confused, Yasmin interjected. Sorry, Alex asked. I'm bad at summarizing. The plot would make a lot more sense if you could read it, which of course you can't because... I'm not confused about the story, Yasmin said. I'm confused about the Nightbooks. You seem really bummed that they're gone. But weren't you going to chuck them in the fire anyway? You couldn't have liked those stories that much. The words hit Alex like a cold of splash water. For a moment, he was too astonished to speak. You're right, he said. I was going to destroy all three of them myself. That's what got me into this whole mess in the first place. So now that they're gone, why do I miss them so much? Beats me, Yasmin said. I never understood why you were getting rid of them in the first place. Alex thought about telling her what had happened in school that day, after the math teacher got her phone call. But it was afraid it might change her opinion of him. He told her a lesser truth instead. I wanted to be someone different, Alex said, not the weird kid who likes monsters. But you are weird, she said. So what? It's cool. It's not cool, Alex insisted. Instead of sports trophies like my brother, you know what's on my shelf? Stupid plastic models of vampires and werewolves and mummies. When my family and I go on vacation, I beg them to take me on ghost tours instead of amusement parks. He lowered his voice, as if confessing a great secret. I have Walking Dead pajamas. And I can tell you the number of every Mets player all the way back to 2003, even the guys who only had a few at-bats. Yes, countered Yasmin. I spent an entire winter break memorizing them. Don't believe me? Xavier Nady. Number 22. Willie Casano. Number 36. She shrugged her shoulders. We all have our things. Alex wondered if she might be right. Was writing scary stories any stranger than memorizing random numbers sewn to the back of uniforms? It made him feel better, thinking about it like that. Maybe it's not just me who's weird, Alex thought. Maybe we're all weird in different ways. Yasmin leaned over the desk and spun the nightbook in her direction. I thought you said you couldn't come up with any ideas, she said. There's a whole list here. Alex snatched the book away. Don't, he said. They're awful. You're probably just being too picky, Yasmin said. Come on, hit me with them. Alex hesitated. He never shared his ideas before a story was completely finished. On the other hand, nothing else was working, and he was growing desperate. If he didn't think of an idea soon, he'd find himself without a story to tell Natasha in a couple nights. He slid the nightbook across the desk. The list was a pitted battlefield of pencil slashes and erasure marks. So I'm going to show you the page on here. Hopefully you can see that. So he's got the list there, and then he's got, the way that they typed it, they actually have it crossed out. So here we go. Story ideas. Girl who finds out her parents are monsters. It's crossed out. Kids who go to the bathroom during class, but never come back. Mailbox that eats people. School locker that leads into another world. Creepy house at Halloween. Kale. Ghost that haunts other ghosts. Nightmare catcher. Let's see, Yasmin said, running her finger down the page with a thoughtful expression. How about this one? Mailbox that eats people. I can see that. You reach in for the mail, something bites you. Pretty scary. As an idea, maybe, Alex conceded. But where do I go from there? The mailbox ate Bob's hand. Bob got an axe and chopped down the mailbox. There's not much to it. Maybe the mailbox needs to deliver Bob's hand somewhere. Ew, Alex said, impressed. Let's see what else you have, she said. Creepy house at Halloween. Because that's never been done before. You're not being graded on originality, Alex. You just need a story. Here, I'll get you started. All the kids were afraid to trick-or-treat at Bob's house because he had a meat hook instead of a hand due to a terrible experience with a mailbox. Funny, Yasmin said, with just a hint of a smile. What about this one? Ghost that haunts other ghosts. That's different. Same problem with the mailbox one, Alex said. It sounds good on paper, but there's no way to make it into a story. Why would a ghost haunt another ghost? I don't know, Yasmin said. Why do they haunt people? Revenge, usually, Alex said. They could have been murdered, or someone moved into the house they used to live in, and they still think of it as their house. Sounds like they're just jealous because they're not alive anymore. Alex said. He picked up his pencil and added, jealous ghost, to the list. It wasn't enough to start a story, but there's something there, something he could use. He could feel it. Mrs. Coral had taught him that good writers didn't necessarily come up with better ideas than other people, they simply recognized the good ones. Jealous ghost, Yasmin read, nodding her head in consideration. In concentration. That could work. Maybe, Alex said. Let me think about it. Do your thing, Yasmin said. I'll keep searching the books. I have to tell you, though, I'm starting to wonder if all this is a wild goose chase. Maybe you already found everything this girl has written. She was wrong. Dun dun dun. So I just had a fun idea. What if you wrote your own story based on the ideas that Alex has in there? Maybe you write a story about a mailbox that takes bites, or maybe you write about a jealous ghost. There's so many fun story starters in here. And again, I just love J.A. White. He just writes in such a way that you can be inspired to create your own things. Art, writing, a mind movie, however you are creative with it. It's just so exciting. All right, so we're going to get into the next chapter. Chapter 14, The Missing Ingredient. Alex woke up early the next morning and trudged back to the library. He hadn't made any headway with his jealous ghost story the day before, but his ideas grew best through the soil of sleep, and he felt on the verge of a breakthrough. The story's almost loose, he thought. I just have to pry it out. He sat in his chair and got straight to work. The first story he wrote was called Quarters. It was about a dead kid who misses video games and haunts this retro arcade. He gets jealous since all he can do is watch the living kids play, so he messes up their games, making the screens flicker and bug out at inopportune moments. Alex got about 2 pages into the story and stopped. It wasn't working. He couldn't say exactly why. It was like a potential friendship that had all the right ingredients but no chemistry. As Yasmin entered the library and started searching the shelves, Alex flipped to a new page. In his second story, a recently deceased girl grows envious of the ghost next door, who haunts a much nicer house. Alex got a little further into this one, close to 4 pages, before giving up. It's no good, he thought, slapping the can of pencils off the desk. He removed his glasses and rubbed his eyes with the palms of his hands. After reading to Natasha last night, he was down to his final story. The pressure was making it hard to concentrate. Yasmin shouted in jubilation. "I found another entry!" she exclaimed, holding a book aloft. Or at least Alex assumed that was what she was holding. Yasmin had climbed past the midway point of the tower and was little more than a small figure in the distance. "Don't read it," Alex shouted, cupping his hands to his mouth. "Wait for me!" "Okay, I'm heading down." The stairs shook beneath Yasmin's feet. Alex, too excited to wait, started towards her. They met somewhere in the middle and huddled together on the stairs, their backs pressed against a bookcase. "She wrote a lot this time," Yasmin said. "Good," Alex said out of breath. "The more we know, the better." Yasmin propped the book, titled Stories That Watch You Sleep, against her bent legs. She opened it to the page she had been holding with her index finger, handwritten words covering both margins. There were no cute pictures of unicorns, no bubbly little hearts above the eyes. Instead, letters were slashed into the page like paper wounds. "Whoa," Alex said. "Is this even the same girl?" "Only one way to find out," replied Yasmin. They read it together. So I'm going to show you the page and how J.A. White has it set up. You can see that there's the main text in there, and then there's all the little writing on the side. So I'm going to read you, I'm going to actually read you the what the book would say first that she was writing in, and then I'll go back and read you her little comments. Night fell. The princess realized that she was completely lost. With the first stirrings of true panic, she lifted her lantern and followed the path, praying that it would lead back to the castle. In moments, she found herself surrounded by mist-shrouded trees, their skeletal branches perfect for princess snatching. She increased her pace, no longer caring that the hem of her beautiful gown was getting splattered by mud. For the first time in her life, she realized that there were places in the world where not even a princess was safe. In time, she came to a stone bridge that spanned a narrow stream. A shadowy figure waited on the other side. The princess thought that it might have been a man, but it was hard to tell. Every time she looked directly at it, her eyes blurred and went out of focus. "Hello?" the princess asked. "Hello," the shadow replied. The beauty of the shadow's voice surprised her. Its singing voice was even lovelier, though the princess would not have recognized any of the songs. So that's where that page stops, and now I'm going to read you what Unicorn Girl wrote in the margins. "The witch thinks I'm stupid, but she's stupid. She don't know what I've been up to. She don't know how good I've got with the plants. I figured out how to make a sleeping potion. Well, almost figured it out. I tried to put a few drops in the cat's water, but the cat won't drink it because it smells so bad, so I forced myself to drink some. Slept for a long time. See, witch, anyone can do magic. Sleeping potion. 1 part suckleweed. 2 part Gretchen's Fury. 4 parts yellow glass. Pinch of demon's mane." And then there's another page. So I'm going to continue reading her comments, and then I'll go back and read you the main text. "I can't put it in the witch's drink. If she smells it, she'll know. There must be something I can use to hide it. I'll keep trying. Close, so close. Then when the witch is asleep, I'm going to steal her keys and go home. But what if she finds me again? What if she drags me back here? I wish I had magic. Then I could turn her into a toad or a snail and laugh at her all day long. But I don't have magic. All I have is this knife. I hate her, hate her, hate her. It's not sharp, but it is sharp enough." So that's all that Unicorn Girl wrote in there, and I'm going to read you the main story part. "I think I'm lost," the princess said. "So it seems. I'm looking for the castle. That's a long way off. Could you take me there?" she asked. "I'm a princess." "I'm a shadow," said the shadow. "Why don't you cross the bridge?" "Is that the fastest way to the castle?" Cross the bridge and I'll whisper the answer into your ear. The princess, mesmerized by the shadow's voice, found herself walking across the bridge. As she passed the midway point, she was able to see the shadow more clearly. Its shape kept changing. Sometimes it was a man, sometimes a woman, sometimes it was something else altogether. The princess tried to stop walking, but the voice lassoed her forward. "Come on, little princess," the shadow said, opening its arms wide. "Just a few more steps." Woo! That is a creepy story. Oh my goodness. Yasmin closed the book. "Unicorn Girl got dark," she said. "It sounds like she's planning to kill Natasha in her sleep." "Except obviously she didn't," Yasmin replied. "That doesn't mean the other part of her plan didn't work. She still could have escaped." He considered this for a moment. Maybe she just chickened out on the actual stabbing part. Saying it is one thing, doing it is another. "I hate Natasha, but I won't be able to go through with it. You?" "But I wouldn't be able to go through with it. You?" Yasmin thought about it and then shook her head. "We'll never know what happened for sure," Alex said, "but the important part is that we now have the recipe for a sleeping potion. Do we have those ingredients?" "Yes," Yasmin said. "They're pretty common, actually, but..." "So you can make it?" "Listen, Alex, this girl must have been here a long time ago, if Natasha was still making potions. Even if I knew how to make the liquid base, we don't have the right equipment anymore. Natasha said she got rid of it all when she switched over to essential oils." "Does it matter?" Alex asked. "Wouldn't the ingredients be the same?" "I don't know," Yasmin said. "I guess it might work." "These magical recipes usually have to be just right, though. If not, big things happen, like with the danglers." She twisted the brim of her cap in her hands, thinking it over. "Still, as long as I keep the ratios the same, and it's not like Natasha would miss any of the ingredients." She shrugged her shoulders. "It's worth a try, I guess." "You can do it," Alex said. "I know you can." "Even if I do," Yasmin said, "there's still a problem. The smell. It must be from the suckleweed. That stuff stinks something awful, and I have no idea what we could use to mask it. Without the missing ingredient, the oil is useless." "So we keep looking," Alex said. "Unicorn Girl must have written it down somewhere." "I'm not so sure about that," Yasmin said. "At this point, she seems more in action mode than writing mode. The moment she discovered the missing ingredient, she'd just move ahead with her plan." "We have to at least try." "I have to try," Yasmin said. "You have to write a story. You only have one left, Alex. Who knows what Natasha will do if you don't?" Alex grabbed her forearm in excitement. "A story!" he exclaimed. "That could actually work. You are a genius!" "Huh?" "We need to find out the missing ingredient, right? And we know." A piercing yowl cut off his sentence. It was coming from far below them. Alex looked over the railing and saw Lenore materializing on top of the desk. She looked up at them and yowled again. "No!" Yasmin exclaimed. "How long has she been down there?" "The whole time, I bet," Alex said, cursing himself for forgetting about the cat. "She probably heard everything. She's going to tell Natasha. We have to stop her." They ran down the stairs as fast as they could. Lenore didn't turn invisible as Alex figured she would. Instead, she was doing something to the books they had left on the desk. He couldn't see exactly what without slowing down, and he wasn't sure it mattered. The most important thing was to keep the little spy away from her master. But why make such a dramatic appearance, he wondered. Why not just remain invisible and tell Natasha later? He had no idea. "Lenore," Alex said as he finally reached the bottom of the stairs. "I don't know what you heard, but it's not what you think. I was just running story ideas by Yasmin, okay?" Lenore gave him a look of insulted disbelief. "Just because I'm a cat doesn't make me stupid." Alex moved straight ahead. Yasmin circled around to the back of the desk. The idea wasn't to sneak up on Lenore, who clearly knew she was coming. They were just trying to cut off any exit plans. Then again, Alex wasn't convinced that either one of them would be able to stop Lenore, even if they tried. She might have looked like a lazy house cat, but she was a fierce fighter. "Lenore," Yasmin began, her voice gentle. "Please, we helped you, remember? Let's be friends." Behind Alex, the door handle rattled. He spun around just as Natasha burst into the room. She eyed the two children with triumph. "Why the guilty looks?" the witch asked. That's why Lenore started yowling, Alex thought. She heard Natasha come home. She was calling her to the library so we would be caught red-handed. "We're not doing anything," Yasmin said weakly. "True," Natasha said, picking up a pencil from the desk. "You're not in the nursery tending to my plants." She leveled her gaze on Alex. "And you're not writing. So what exactly are you two doing? A pencil in Natasha's hand transformed into a yellow snake that slithered between her fingers. Tell me, she said, before I forget to ask nicely. Yasmin was helping me with research for a story, Alex said. I want to make sure I get all the details right. Research? Natasha asked dubiously. That's right, Yasmin said, going with it. Research. A whole lot of research. Research about what? Yasmin asked. She kept her eyes glued to Yasmin, waiting for an answer. You know, Yasmin said, shifting from foot to foot. Well, Alex came to me at breakfast. We had oatmeal. And he asked me, he asked if I could help him learn some things. About magic oils, Alex said. He folded his arms across his chest to hide his trembling hands. I wanted to get all the details right. Yasmin's the expert. Natasha's face tightened. The pencil snake, sensing its master's discomfort, bared its lead fangs in Alex's direction. The expert? Natasha asked. That girl doesn't know a single thing that I didn't teach her. I wouldn't be so sure about that, Alex said. I think Yasmin might have picked up some really fascinating techniques on her own. Who knows? Maybe she could teach you a thing or two. What? Natasha snarled, glaring at Yasmin. She's not even a witch. Yasmin shot Alex a nervous look. What are you doing? True, Alex said in a pacifying tone, stepping between them. Obviously, Yasmin wasn't my first choice, only I couldn't go to you for research. I want the story to be a surprise. Otherwise, what's the point? This seemed to mollify Natasha somewhat. The anger that faded from her face, however, was quickly replaced by a fiendish grin. You wouldn't be telling me a story, storyteller, she asked, would you? Of course not. We'll see about that, she asked. Lenore! The cat leapt gracefully off the desk and landed at Natasha's feet. Tell me what these two were really doing. Alex looked at Yasmin. She was trying to keep her face as impassive as possible, but he could see the panic swirling in her eyes. What do we do, he thought. If they ran, they would just be admitting their guilt. And where could they go? On the other hand, if they stayed here and Lenore told Natasha they had been planning their escape, there's no way out of this, Alex thought. Natasha traced a line in the air from her ear to Lenore's mouth. As she did, a narrow tube of swirling green water appeared. Lenore meowed into the bottom of the tube, over and over again, and tiny bubbles floated through the water up to the witch's ear. It's an animal translator, Alex thought. Unfortunately, Natasha did not look pleased by whatever Lenore was saying. Alex and Yasmin shared a concerned look. Really? The witch asked, her tone more accusatory than surprised. That can't be right. More meowing. Are you sure? Some final meows, more insistent this time, as though Lenore was getting annoyed with her master. Natasha, for her part, looked like she wanted to kick the cat across the room. So be it, Natasha said. She waved the translator out of existence and faced the children. Lenore tells me she's been here all morning, Natasha said through gritted teeth, and that what you just said is the absolute, total truth. Alex clamped his mouth shut so his jaw didn't fall open in shock. Lenore lied for us, he thought. After all the trouble you two caused with the danglers, Natasha continued, I decided to make a surprise visit to check up on you. Looks like you've learned your lesson. Now make sure you don't forget it. She reached for the doorknob and then looked back over her shoulder at Alex. I look forward to your story tonight. Hopefully all that research paid off. That particular story isn't finished yet, Alex said. Maybe tomorrow or the next. Tonight, Natasha said with a threatening glare. I can't wait. She left the room. I am so confused right now, Yasmin said. I thought Lenore was making all that noise to tell Natasha what we were up to, but... She heard Natasha come home early, Alex said. She was warning us to get down from the tower. Less suspicious that way. And look at what she did with the books, Yasmin added, gesturing towards the neat stack on the table. Like total idiots, we left them open to the unicorn girl entries. Lenore closed them all, so Natasha wouldn't see. She wasn't tattling on us. She was saving us. But why? Both children turned towards the cat, who hopped up on the table and lay down as if nothing had happened. Yasmin's ointment had done its work. Her wounds were almost entirely healed. Because we were kind, Alex said, and kindness beats cruelty every time. He reached down and stroked Lenore's head. She let him. You're a prisoner just like us, aren't you? Yasmin asked, bending down. We're going to escape, or try to at least. She rubbed the cat's stomach. Do you want to come with us? Alex wasn't sure how many of the words Lenore understood without a magical translator, but it must have been enough. She began to purr. Alex and Yasmin looked at each other and smiled. Now they were 3. Oh, it's so exciting. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. I love that Lenore chose her side and saved them. Oh, I love it. Okay. I am going to pause here, and I will make another video to keep reading. But I hope you guys liked that. Bye.